In this tutorial, I'd like to show you how to bring in the conceptual masses to the site. So similar to the way the building was brought in, you will go to File and you will click on Import. And then you'll select the conceptual masses and click Import. And then place them anywhere on any of the locations there, on any surface or on any edge, rather on a face. It doesn't matter. Go ahead and give it a click, and those are now placed in here. Now, the difference between the conceptual masses and your building is that these masses, we don't need to change them anymore. So it's okay, now that they're in here, to go ahead and tap the spacebar. They're still selected, and if they were not, you can just, if they're like this, not selected, go ahead and click on them. And then right click and explode. And what we've done now is we've broken it down to the individual elements, individual objects that we had in that file. So I'll click off of them. And now when I select each one individually, you can see that they are their own groups. And I'm going to start here by taking that figure and simply deleting it because it's not necessary anymore. So now I'm going to take the buildings and start arranging them on the sites. So I'm going to begin with this building here. And I know that I would like this corner of the building to be right here. So I'm simply going to move it first, and then I'm going to rotate. So I'm going to move from this point over to this point, or rather the end point there. And I'm going to pan, orbit, because I'm about to rotate, so I just want to position myself in a way that I can see that rotation take place. So now I come over to my rotate tool, and I want this to rotate and constrain to the blue axis. If I don't click on the up arrow to constrain to blue, you're going to see that it's going to pick a face, and I don't want that to happen. So up arrow constrains to blue. And then if you look at the bottom left corner, it says click to set the center point of rotation. So this is the center point. I'm going to give that a click. And now the prompt says move cursor to locate the start point of rotation. And the start point of rotation is anywhere along the green axis or anywhere along the line here. And in this case, it's picking the midpoint, and that's fine. So give that a click and then begin to rotate. And it says click to set the rotation, or you can enter the angle. And I know I want this to rotate 90 degrees, so I can either type 90 or I can just let it select the edge here and give that a click. So I have my building exactly where I want it along that corner. The next thing to do is type M, and I'm going to move it 3 feet over. So I'm going to click right here and then let it constrain to green axis. And if it's not constraining to green or to red, just use your arrow keys as needed to set the constraint. So now I'm going to type in 3 feet, enter. It's still selected, so I'm going to click right here, and then I'm just going to let it go back, or I'm going to move it back. It's constraining to the axis there, and I'm just going to type in 20 feet, enter. So that places the building right where I want it. And then the next thing I'd like to do is bring in the garage and place it over here. So tap the space bar and then tap the escape key. And then if needed, zoom out a little bit more and click away from everything so that nothing is selected. And now pick that garage and type M for move. And I'm going to take it, select that origin in the group. I'm going to bring it right over here and align it to my building because they have the same width. And then I'm going to pick this edge right here, or corner as it says, and I'm going to move it until it aligns with the edge in the group here. And it's constraining to the axis, so that's good. I'm just going to click. And then I'm going to do one more thing, and that is click out here, and then start moving it back, and I'm going to type in 1 foot, enter, because it's usually a foot away from that alley. So that takes care of those two buildings. And then I'll do the same thing with the others. And I'm going to move a little bit quicker now. So tapping the space bar, clicking on this object, type M for move from this endpoint over here. Need to rotate that. So rotate from this point. I'm going to use the up arrow key to constrain to blue. And I'm just trying to orient my view to make it easier as I rotate. I'll click here for the endpoint. I'll click there for the other endpoint and rotate. Now, I'm not seeing the line, so in this case, I'm going to type in 90, 90, enter. So it rotates at 90. And then I'm going to type M for move, and I'm going to pick right here. I'm also going to move this over 3 feet. So I'll type in 3 feet, enter. And then this building, maybe I want to set it back less. So I'm going to type in M. I'll just click out here anywhere and start moving it back. And I'm going to type in 10 feet, enter. Couple more buildings to go. So I'm going to tap the space bar. I'm going to click on this building. And before moving it, I'm going to rotate it first. And I'm going to come over here to my rotate tool. And then use the up arrow key so it constrains to the blue axis. And now this time it's easier for me to just pick anywhere on this face like this. And I know that I wanted to go straight along the red axis, and then I'm going to rotate it so that it then constrains to the green axis. And then I'll move that also. I'll type M, and then I'm going to orbit right here for a second. I want you to see that I'm not going to pick that endpoint. I'm going to come over here and select this corner of the group like this. And now simply move it here. And you'll see that this building is a pretty big building, and it's taking up more than just one of those lots, and that's all right. And I'm just going to assume that this is going to take up 2 lots. So I'm going to type M for move over this way. And let's say I'm just, as I keep moving it, 10 feet looks good. So I'll type in 10 feet, enter. And then I'm going to set it back. So I'm just going to click right here, move it back. And it's snapping to 10 feet because that's the last value I use. So I'll just go ahead and click, and I've got that where I want it. And then I'll tap the space bar. I'm going to take this building over here, type M for move, just to bring it closer. This is going to require a 180-degree rotation. So to rotate, I'm going to click on the rotate tool, up arrow key. That face is good enough, so I'm going to click right here. I'm going to let it constrain to one of the axes, and then I'll rotate it 180, and I'll type in 180, enter. And this building looks similar to the other one, and I believe that's because I was showing a couple of different ways of modeling that building when I um, created this assignment. So I'm just going to take it now and I just realized that I don't need it, so I'm just going to delete it. Or I guess what I could do, just to take advantage of it since it's already there, I'll flip it. Yeah, that's what I'll do. So I'll just click on flip, and I would like to flip it about the green axis. So as long as the green plane highlights like that, I can go ahead and click that. And there we go. Tap the space bar, click away from the objects, and I have myself that unit. And then what I'll do is I will select it. I'm going to move it from this endpoint. I'm going to let it line up with that endpoint so that they're set back the same distance. And then I'll go ahead and move from here over that way, let it take up those 2 lots, and I'll just type in 15 feet here. And then I'll tap the space bar and then click away from the objects. So I'm trying to show that this is going to be sitting in a residential area that has different building types. So I'm just going to continue to populate the other sites, and I'm going to use the models here somewhat randomly. So let me come over here, and I'd like to take this building and this one. So I'm going to, first of all, pick this one and then hold down my control key and then give this a click. And then I'm going to type M for move from this endpoint. And then I'm going to type the control key, or tap it rather, the control key, and then bring it right over here to this endpoint and give that a click. And then tap the space bar, click away from the objects, and then continue on the other side. And I'm just going to mix things up a little bit. So I think what I'd like to do is take that building again and then hold on the control key and take this garage and then type M again and move it from here and then tap the control key right over there. And maybe one more copy of that. So I'll click here and then tap the control key and give this a click right there. And then tap the space bar, click away from everything, and I'll just fill up a couple more lots there. So I'll take this building, type M for move from this endpoint over to that endpoint, and then I'll repeat that. And I forgot to type the control key, so let me edit undo, and I'll do this again. Give that a click, tap the control key, and then click here on this endpoint, and then repeat. Click on the endpoint, tap the control key, and I'll just make a copy right there. And I could make one more copy, but I think that should do it for now. So I'll tap the escape key and then tap the space bar and click off of the objects. And then perhaps all of the other buildings also have garages. So what I'll do is I'll make a copy of this garage. So I'm going to type M for move from this endpoint, tap the control key. I'll move one here, and then I'll continue. I'll click right there, tap the control key. And maybe that building doesn't have a garage and this one does, so I'll click right there. And then one more, click here on this endpoint, and then tap the control key, and we'll just put one over here, just to make this very random. And then I'll go ahead and tap the escape key, nothing is selected, tap the space bar, and then I'd like to populate the other side. So just like when I brought in, or when I put the site over on this side of the alley, I made a group and then I mirrored that. So I'm going to follow the same steps here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on my objects. I'm going to hold down the control and just pick everything. And then I can go ahead and mirror everything right now. However, if I make any mistakes and I have to start all over, I'm going to have to pick everything again. So if you're confident that it won't happen, or you don't mind if that were to happen, you can go ahead and begin. Otherwise, you can just go ahead and right click and then make group. So now this becomes a group. So now when I pick one, I select all of them. And for me, this is easier, sometimes less stressful, to then continue with the mirror command. So I'm going to come over here, and I keep saying mirror because that's what it's called in a lot of programs. In this case, it's the flip command. So I'll flip, and I do want to flip along the x-axis, but I want to click and drag that x-axis so it's at the midpoint of the alley here. So whether you select at the farther point or the closer point, I'm still going to zoom in and try to find the midpoint of my axis, or of the alley. So I find it easier to kind of orbit this way and then zoom in a little bit. I'm going to tap the control key. That way I know it's going to make a copy. And then as long as the red plane is highlighted, I give that a click and drag, and I let it find the midpoint of this alley, and then I release the mouse. And it's made a copy. I tap the escape key a couple of times, tap the space bar, zoom out, and I've made a mirror image. And sometimes the mirror image can work, but sometimes it just doesn't look right. It's too symmetrical, and with cities, you know that things aren't always going to match up. So feel free to take buildings. Well, first of all, let me ungroup these. So I'm going to right click, and it's going to be explode. There's no such thing as ungroup. I just think of it that way. So explode that one, and I should also explode this one. Okay. And now you can take some of the buildings. I'll take this one and delete it. I'll take that one and delete. And maybe what I'll do is I'll take this one and make a copy of it. So I'm going to move from this endpoint, tap the control key, copy it over here. I will tap the escape key and then space bar. I'll pick that garage and type M for move. From this endpoint, tap the control key, make a copy right there. Tap the control key. Let's see. Nope. I want to pick this endpoint and then tap the control key because I'd like to make a copy right here. And then I'll pick that endpoint, tap the control key, give myself a copy right there, and then tap the escape, space bar. And then I'll just take these two buildings. So click on that one, hold on the control key, pick this one. Let me zoom in a little bit. Type M for move from this endpoint, tap the control key, and take it over to this endpoint and click. So that's how I'm mixing things up. And then tap the escape key, space bar. And then one more thing to do here, and that is to add some color. So I'm going to go over to the materials. I'm going to look for a color, solid color here. And again, just to mix things up a little bit, any colors that you pick are going to be good enough. If you want to keep it within a certain shade of red or brown or green, that's entirely up to you. I'm going to stay in this range here of these warm colors. So I'm going to pick this one. And I'm just going to click on a couple of these buildings randomly. And then I'll pick a different color. And I'll just, again, randomly select some buildings, another color. And then I should also add some color to these garages. And then maybe look at other colors that are within that range. And then, like I said, if you want to go with the greens, that's fine. The blues, whatever shades you want will work. And I'll just stop there for now. And you can see how it starts to give a nice impression that the building is sitting within a neighborhood there. And look at this. When I go to an eye level view, I'm seeing buildings in the background. So that helps. And then on this site, go ahead and add more content to it. I know we talked about perhaps adding a pergola or some kind of a small pavilion here. Just to dress things up a little bit. It's up to you. You can put a fence around it if you'd like, and I'll show you real quick how I would do a fence. And this doesn't mean I want to put a fence around all four sides. I'm just showing you real quick how to do this. I'm going to draw a rectangle from this corner over to that one. And then I'm going to type P for push pull, raise it. And the fences usually are no taller than 6 feet. So I'm going to go with 6 feet, enter, and then tap the space bar. I'm going to click on this surface and delete it. And then I'm going to click on this surface and delete that one. And I may have deleted the wrong one. So let me edit, undo, erase. And I do have two surfaces there. So I have to make sure I pick the right one. So let's see if I pick that one and type M for move, it's moving my original surface. So I don't want to do that. So while it's still selected, I'm going to come up here and go to edit, hide, and it should hide that one. Okay. Tap the space bar, then I pick this surface and delete. There we go. And then I'll go over here to edit and unhide last. All set. And then I'll take this surface and delete it. And it's leaving the lines behind, and that's all right. I'll just click on that line, delete, click on this line and delete it. And then triple click, and then right click, make a group. And now I'll come over here to my materials, and I'm looking for, let's see, maybe metals, maybe patterns. And let's see if I go to metal, you see here where it says a perforated metal. Here's another perforated metal. I'm just going to click on these to show you what it will do and give that a click. And it's almost like having a chain link fence if you wanted, and you can see right through it. And there's other options. So I can see over here what we have in terms of patterns. And see if these patterns would work. This is all brick. I'm going to stay away from that. And just looking for something. Here we go. This is well, it says concrete block, maybe not that one. And this one is probably going to be a tile. It's grading, okay. This one here is a grid, 10 by 10. So if I pick that one and click on my group, and no, can't see through it. So maybe I don't want that one. So look through those options. And then the other one, I'll just come over here to wood. And this one is showing me that that's plywood. This is also plywood. That's flooring. That's a veneer, wood planks, and wood floor. So let me see if I go with wood planks here. If I pick it, there we go. That could work in terms of a fence if you wanted that. So now I'll just tap the space bar and click away from my objects. And that is my populated site with my building. Any changes I make to the building will be in the original file, and then I'll just click here, right click, and I will be reloading it. All set.